Carnotaurus sastre, a very fun playable. It's large, runs very fast for its size, struggles with turning as an addition for balance. Even though it's one of the fastest runners in the game, he's one of the slowest swimmers, so in order to evade this beast, you'd have to keep out-turning him until he loses sight of you in the bushes, or you'd swim past a river that Carno would spend longer crossing. While playing Carno, you need to be careful as your stamina pool is fragile, requiring high effort for stamina management, along with his charging ram, requiring for a great long distance to be able to benefit from the ability, making creatures staggered or knocked down. It's the perfect predator for thrilling chases. But let's talk about its competitor, Ceratosaurus. There's been a lot of changes to Ceratosaurus, such as making corpses decay faster if vomited on them, greatly increased scent range, disabling chuffing while swimming. In short, most Sorado changes were usually just quality of life, improving its chances of survival, or pushing it to fit the role of being a body bully. It wasn't bad, until that time during the horde test. One of the very recent changes to Sorado included slow down by 10% and use stamina after the charge bite was fully charged, reduced the time required to keep charging for the maximum damage and bacteria application, made it so that the only way to gain bacteria was from rotten corpses and unable to keep gaining if stomach was full, made bacteria of Sorado decay over time, made the charge bite no longer end automatically after some time, made salt licks drain bacteria, added 25% extra stability during their charge bite. That last one was a heavy blow to Carno. While Carno also received some love by having its vulnerability to bleeding reduced, increased standing still turn speeds, or adjusting growth time to be similar to Sorado and giving it a bit more stamina. These changes were great, and they made Carno easier to grow and play. However, the stability changes to Sorado meant that Sorado is no longer a competitor to Carno. Instead, it's now the hunter of Carnos. You see, back before this buff to Sorado, Carno vs Sorado fights were already usually always putting Sorado at an advantage, whether it's because the Sorado has a body that doubles its health and makes it harder to stun, or the Sorado camps a cliff, or it simply makes the Carno vomit and gets extra bites during the vomit animation, meaning only skilled Carnos could kill Sorados in a 1v1 situation. Considering the Carno has to manage stamina, make distance for charge, and stun the Sorado. And Carnos couldn't even evade Sorados, because if you run away, Sorados would have more stamina, therefore they would easily run you down by tracking your footprints. So, if they could already hunt Carnos, and they were at a significant advantage towards them, why did the devs completely remove the chances of a Carno winning a fight against the Sorado? Why did they make the stability change this way, where a big portion of the herbivores that can make Sorado stagger and knock down can still make an impactful stun, but Carno is completely left out? They recently increased Carno's charging threshold to be 900 kilograms, making it so that they can charge Tenos. However, this doesn't seem to help at all when charging Sorados. If we increase Sorado's weight by 25%, it gives us the same weight of a Teno. However, a Teno can be charged and staggered, but a Sorado cannot. Why does the dev team have this significant bias towards Sorado? Some of you might be preparing to write, but Deepie, Carno is a small game predator. I need to let you know that I'm aware, and that Carno isn't the predator of Sorado. It was simply a competitor. Small game hunters in real life can also have competitors. Making them small game doesn't mean they'll never engage with the stuff that are similar size to them. Besides, this small game hunter has Teno and Maya in its diet, who are completely non-small game. I personally think that Carno should continue to be able to charge Sorados. I don't mind if they made the Sorado stagger animation shorter during their charge bite, just to keep the stability buff, but there is clearly some favoritism going on with the species. Why I'm mentioning anything about being biased or having favoritism in the first place is because there has been changes that suggest this is the case, such as removing Dilo from Carno's diet, but keeping Carno in Dilo's diet, even though both can hunt each other dependent on the time of day. I would love if this was addressed, and balancing would be kept fair for Carnotaurus. Thank you for taking the time for listening, and I want to make a disclaimer that I do not have hate towards anyone in the developer team, and I love their work. I just want some fairness from my good boy Carnotaurus. Have a good one.